What's up, guys? For the last few weeks we have been teasing you with a brand new series and a big announcement coming from Drift Games. But tonight is the night and we're going to tell you everything. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. We've got an amazing episode for you today and news that we've been sitting on for weeks now and teasing you guys with. And today, finally, we can get it off our chest and tell you the exciting new series coming to Drift Games and what is replacing the Games Changers series. Now, if you're new to the channel, we're going to bring you up to speed. 12 months ago, we decided to take on a crazy project during the middle of the pandemic where we would try and become professional drifters in a very short space of time. We decided to build two very unique cars, this 600 horsepower LS3 powered Corvette and a 500 horsepower SR20 MX-5. We had an amazing journey through 12 months of building these cars, testing them and getting them ready for the track. And I think we more or less achieved that. We got some amazing cars, they're ready to go for next year. We built them once, built them right, and they're very competitive and they're capable of winning championships. What's not capable of winning championships right now is me and Josh. We are not capable of being good enough drivers because we haven't had enough seat time. And everyone says seat time in drifting is king. But if we go to regular track days in Ireland, we might have 4-5 days of track time between now and next year. But we're not going to get good fast over 5 or 6 days in Ireland. We need really good drivers to practice with to up our level. We need to be going to new tracks and making sure that every time we go to a new track, we're able to take that track on just like it would be at a competition instead of practicing the same track over and over again. So we need to go somewhere where we can do all of that. Now, I know what you're thinking straight away. Drift Games are going to Japan. But a lot of people have gone to Japan. And Japan is an amazing place that we would like to go to one day. But we found, I think, an even better solution. So, without further ado, I can announce that Drift Games are going to America. And we're going to take part in Drift Week 4. So what is Drift Week and why are we so excited to say we're going? And why are we so excited to bring you guys along for the ride? Well, it is the brainchild of Aaron Lousy from Lone Star Drift, who we met briefly years ago in the Middle East. His concept was, could we get really cool drivers all the way from YouTubers to Formula Drift drivers to grassroots heroes, bring them all together where they drift multiple tracks over a week or two period and then have to drive those drift cars in between each event. That's the rules. The cars have to be what they call streetable. So they'll drift all day, pack it up, fresh set of tires, head out the road and head for hours to the next track. And this all happens over a very short space of time. The last 3 Drift Weeks were incredibly popular and some of the biggest names in the business have done them. So we looked at it and said, hey, that means we can get 9 days of drifting on brand new tracks with brand new drivers, tandeming all day. And that's the equivalent of doing about 8 to 10 months of training here in Ireland with the availability of the tracks. So it's a no-brainer. Now, there were some little bit of problems with that too, because we weren't able to fly to America. This idea has been kind of floating around for maybe 2 or 3 months. We spoke to Aaron, we got approved and applied for the event, but we didn't know if we could fly. So we took a risk. We booked everything to fly out on the 11th of November to head off to Drift Week. And only 2 days ago, they announced that they are now allowing visa applications to go to America from the 8th of November. So for 3 days, we were just about in the right space of time. So we have everything booked, everything is organized, and I want to tell you guys about exactly what's going to be happening on Drift Week. Okay, so we live in Ireland and Drift Week is on the west coast of America, which makes it quite difficult for us to arrange everything. So when we first wanted to do Drift Week, our initial plan was that we would fly to America, we would buy a car, we would modify it at a local shop, and then we would go on to Drift Week with that car and maybe ship it back at the end of the journey. The problem was, time was too short. If we had gone for that plan, we already would have failed because we would only be going to America 2 days before the first day of Drift Week. So we would never have been able to build a car. But drifting is a funny game. Things happen sometimes, I think, for a reason. So in the middle of our Games Changers episodes, we were building this car. And out of nowhere, a guy called Duarte messaged me. He's from Drift HQ. I'm wearing the hat. And he said, hey guys, love the channel, love what you guys do. We'd love to send you some parts for your build. And didn't want any mentions, didn't want anything, just really wanted to see us succeed. Said he was a big fan of the channel. So he sent me a dual caliper upgrade for the Corvette, and we got lots of cool merch and stuff. And it was really awesome, just someone reaching out that had never met us before. Anyway, fast forward a couple of months, and we're watching Adam LZ. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. And it turns out that Adam LZ bought the controlling share of Drift HQ, and Drift HQ moved in to the LZ compound. So I'm watching some Adam LZ videos, and I see Duarte, and he's wearing some Drift Games gear, and it's really cool for us. And I gave him a message, and I said, hey, you guys do Drift Week. Drift HQ actually have a van that follows the whole trip with parts and everything else just to keep people going. They're an amazing company that way, really part of the grassroots scene there. I said, you guys don't know where we'd be able to buy a car. And he said, you know what's funny? We're actually thinking of doing a rental car business for drift cars in the States. And then it became really crazy because he said, you guys would be the first Europeans that would come over, actually do Drift Week and show everybody else in Europe how it works and if they want to do it themselves.
We're actually preparing a Drift Week car for a client overseas that's going to be flying in.
So we worked out a deal. He did us some sponsorship, an amazing deal. And we are going to be taking one of those rental cars, which was recently driven in the LZ compound by Adam LZ, which is an E46 M3.
Thing's fun.
This E46 M3 has an angle kit, it's got induction kit, it's got plenty of mods, it's got all suspension done. Absolutely perfect car with the perfect amount of power for us for that trip. So Duarte hooked us up with a deal. He's going to transport the car from the LZ compound to California. We'll meet them there, we'll get the car, and that is the car that we will be driving for 13 days straight. 9 of them drifting and 4 of them just touring around canyon roads and all that other good stuff. So we're super pumped on that, and thank you so much to Duarte for getting all that ready for us. But that's where it gets even more interesting, because not only are we going to be driving this car on the road and on the track, we'll be double driving it as Josh and I both beat on the car trying to get as much practice laps as possible. And it's a pretty nice car, so we're hoping we don't scuff it up too bad. So now you know where we're going and you know what car we're driving. One of the most exciting things for me and Josh especially is who's also going on the trip. So we are big automotive fans, just like you guys are. We watch lots of YouTubers, we watch Formula Drift, and we're going to be kind of rubbing shoulders with those guys right throughout the trip. Heard from Hoonigan's going to be there, Adam LZ, Brandon Whitnick, Matt Kaufman, Matt Field, Chelsea Denofa, Corey Funk. Like, the list goes on and on. Taylor Ray, another MX-5 hero. Like Josh watches all of his stuff. It's amazing. We watch all of their channels. We're massive fans of all of theirs, and now we actually get to go drift with them for 2 weeks, which is like the most mind-blowing thing to me and Josh, to not totally fanboy out on the whole situation. So it's going to be absolutely amazing to hang out with all of those guys and learn from them as well, because a lot of those guys are very successful drivers or very successful YouTubers, and again, in Ireland there aren't so many people we can talk to about that, so we want to learn a little bit from them as well. The amazing thing that I've noticed though is everyone who's done Drift Week, especially from the Formula Drift side, like Chelsea Denofa and Matt Field, they have improved as drivers massively since they've done Drift Week, and they basically sing its praises all the time, saying if you do that much driving, that much tandem on different tracks, you just get so much better as a driver. And for us, the proof is in the pudding with those guys sitting in the top of the Formula Drift Championship. So I think we're going to learn an awful lot from those guys in terms of setup, in terms of conversations with them about pro drifting, and of course everything we learn from them we can give it back to you guys as well, because we're going to film all of this. So Drift Week is going to be 9 track days, 14 days of driving in an E46 M3 with some of the coolest people in the drift world. And we're going to be bringing you guys along for the ride and filming absolutely everything from start to finish. But because we're going so far, we said why not extend the trip a little bit further at the end of Drift Week. So the last place we go to on Drift Week is the Hoonigan Burnyard. You guys will, I'm sure, have watched Hoonigan over the years. We're going to be hanging out there, doing some skids there, which is really cool. Another bucket list thing for us. But after that, Josh and I are going to stay in and around West Coast and LA for about 6 days, where we're going to go and try and find out all about American car culture. We're going to try and go into the shops where they've built some of the coolest drift cars in the world. We're going to try and hang out with Formula D drivers and get some inside information of what they do over there differently than what we do here. We're going to try and go to car meets. We're going to try and just check cool stuff out basically for 6 days and give you guys all of that cool content. We might even do a little bit of a tour of LA of where they filmed all the Fast and the Furious locations, but that's more so for me and Josh just being fanboys again. But we're going to bring you along for the ride. So if you're in the LA area or in California and you want to wants to swing by and check out what you've got, let us know in the comment section below. Or if you know anybody that you guys want to see us go and visit in that area of America, let us know in the comments, because of course these videos are for you guys and we want to see as much as we can and make sure that you guys are entertained all the way through. That said, we may have saved the best to last, because when we finish in LA, we then fly to Florida and we are going to be staying at the LZ compound. We are going to be hanging out with Adam and Duarte, checking out the car collection, checking out the LZ compound, which is, again, we're big fans of his and everything that he's done. So we're going to see it from an outsider's point of view, which I think is quite cool, and not many people get to see it. So we're really pumped on that as well. And at the end of all of that, we fly back to Ireland. So recently we've dropped down to 2 videos a week. That's just down to the fact that we haven't had a huge amount of time, but obviously when we go on this trip, we're going to be ramping that up. How many we're going to do and when they're out, I'm not too sure, but we're going to try and get you that content as quick as possible so you guys are on the journey with us. And poor Josh is going to be editing right through the night almost every day to get those videos out the next day to you guys. So we're really pumped on that, and of course it's an expensive trip, so we want to make sure that it's worth it for us and for everybody else involved in Drift Games to have a really, really good time and get tons of content out of it. So let's recap. We are going to Drift Week. We are completing the whole of Drift Week. We are renting an E46 M3 from Drift HQ and Adam LZ. We are going to be hanging out with the best Formula Drift drivers and YouTubers in America for that entire trip, and we're going to be filming it all for you guys. Then we're going to stay around California, checking out car culture, checking out cool garages, cool cars. Then we're going to fly to the LZ compound in Florida. What an amazing trip, a bucket list dream trip that we could never have imagined would happen a couple of years ago. But that's all going to be filmed for you guys. On top of that, before we go, on the 9th of November, we are going to release our 2022 Pro Drift cars. So these 2 cars are stripped right now. You'll see why in the next video, and they're getting a really dramatic new look. On top of that, the brand new merch range is coming out just in time for Christmas, also on the 9th of November. And Josh is going on holidays for 2 weeks before we go to Drift Week. So leading up to Drift Week, I will be getting my GoPro out. I'll be showing you guys. I've got a brand new daily driver. We're going to be modifying some of our cars. The 2 drift cars are going to have a dramatic new look. And all of that's going to come until the 9th of November with our new merch range, and all that's launched before we leave for the States. So a very, very busy 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us. We're a little bit stressed out, we're a little bit worried, but we know you guys will be along for the ride, and we thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully you guys hit that subscribe button and watch our adventures in America as they unfold, and we've got lots of exciting things that are going to be added to that trip as we go. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff that's going to happen we couldn't even predict now, so you want to be along for the ride to see the craziness as it unfolds. So thank you so much guys for watching. Drift Games is going to Drift Week. We are doing a US tour. It starts on the 9th of November with our launch of our 2 Pro cars, and we can't wait. We'll see you there.